just sitting there with our signs that said like, we love Sophie, like thank you Sophie for speaking up. And so we were holding on, just watching the game. Again, like, we were being super great. We hadn't said anything to anyone else. We were being super respectful. We were just holding our signs and cheering for both teams. And this lady, older lady, comes up to us, and she comes up to us, and at first I think she's gonna be nice, and she asks like, what are you guys doing? Something like that. And then it was like, Jesus loves everyone. That's what she told us. And I was like,
welcome back to Clark Gaming Hoop. And before we get into this explosive story, tell us what you think in the comments. Should team owners face serious punishment when they allegedly cross the line with young fans? The WNBA is suddenly dealing with a major public relations crisis that has pushed the league into unfamiliar territory. What began as an intense basketball matchup quickly turned into a controversy unfolding away from the court. The incident reportedly involved teenage fans supporting Sophie Cunningham during Indiana's matchup with Seattle. Reports claim Storm co-owner Celeste Keaton was suspended after an alleged confrontation with those young supporters. Now, the Seattle organization is facing intense scrutiny and has been forced to respond publicly.
This Seattle Storm situation is going very south fast. Now we have other big-time business people being accused and caught on film harassing Indiana Fever fans, and these young ladies held a rally for anti-trans. Now, during this rally, nothing happened. It was calm. But the Seattle Storm co-owner, who has now been suspended, by the way, we're going to talk about that, made it her business to make sure these young ladies have a very, very tough night that night. And that's exactly what she did. Now, I said this once and I'll say it again. If I'm these young ladies' parents, I'm quickly, in a hurry, talking to legal. We have to sue not only the Seattle Storm, but you have to sue the WNBA for harassment.
The controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark's team has now expanded into a much bigger WNBA public relations problem. To understand why tensions became so intense, we have to look at Sophie Cunningham's recent public comments during an ESPN profile. Cunningham openly discussed her views about transgender participation in women's sports. She framed her position around fairness, safety, and protecting opportunities for female athletes. Those comments immediately created a heated reaction across social media and among different groups of fans. Supporters praised her for speaking openly, while critics strongly challenged her position. By the time Indiana arrived in Seattle, the controversy had already created a highly charged atmosphere.
I believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children, and that's little girls who are also involved in that category. And so I stand on what I said, and I always believe that.
Yeah. Do you see your advocacy on that, like, taking any form going forward?
You know, I don't know. I'm not a very political person, but I do have beliefs. I have morals, and I'll always stand on those and be true to who I am. And I think people are going to take it how they want to take it, but I've never even really said anything about that. And so when it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that. I think that's why you have Title IX. That's why you have some of the greats in women's sports. If Title IX and women's sports weren't protected, then you wouldn't hear about any type of women in sport. And so I think in the future, it's just really important to protect.
Okay, great opportunity for the WNBA, right? Because it's like an 80-20 issue. Most Americans don't believe that boys should play against the girls. And you're talking about a women's sport league. That's what you're talking about. Women's basketball. If you let the biological men play, you end up with the movie Juwanna Mann, or alternatively, Lady Ballers. A 14-year-old high school freshman boys starting varsity player at any decent public school in America would torch these ladies. That is just a reality. Okay, that is not sexist. That is called reality. 14-year-old boys all over America are dunking. Okay, the WNBA with biological men would just be called the NBA, and the ladies would be called ushers, or at best refs.
When Indiana traveled to Seattle for the July 28 matchup, the tension surrounding Cunningham was already extremely high. Supporters gathered outside Climate Pledge Arena, carrying signs and publicly expressing their opinions. Some fans reportedly brought those messages inside the arena as the game got underway. Among them were teenage supporters holding signs thanking Cunningham for speaking about girls' sports. Reports later claimed that a woman confronted the young fans and used extremely harsh language toward them. The alleged confrontation quickly spread online and became far bigger than anything happening on the basketball court. Suddenly, what began as a political disagreement had become a major WNBA controversy.
One of the co-owners of the team came over and blessed them out and used the F word. And so she was suspended. What was your reaction to this?
Well, it's important to know who these girls are and, of course, the setting of where this game took place. It happened in Seattle, the state of Washington. These girls are 16-year-old girls. They're in high school. One of the girls, her name is Annalie Wilson. She's a 16-year-old runner from Washington State who has taken a stand. Why has she taken a stand? Because she has had to live these policies. Actually, Annalie, she placed second at, I believe it was the Kashmir Junior Olympics regional track meet in the 1600. She lost to a boy. Since then, she's had to find herself standing up before school boards to her peers and to classmates and to teachers and to adults. What she told me was that Sophie's courage has inspired a generation of young athletes. She says that it is such a relief now to know that someone, especially when it comes from a professional female athlete, has their back. Mm-hmm. And now here she is, as you said, supporting Sophie, and she's being heckled by grown men and grown women, which now to the left, that's considered progressive. It's just sad that young girls, 16-year-old girls, have to be the adults in the room.
Yeah. You know, the young lady, one of the girls that you're talking about, the athlete, she was wearing an XXXY t-shirt. And that's the apparel company that was created by Jennifer Say, who is the gymnast, the former gymnast. And their mission is really just to focus on protecting women's sports. Here's Jennifer reacting to it. Listen to this.
I'm so proud of those two young girls. They're so grateful to have Sophie so loudly and full-throatedly in our court. These young girls have been going it alone, and to have a star from the WNBA stand up and say, yeah, girls deserve their own sports is such a huge win and a vote of confidence for these girls, and they feel like they're no longer alone.
You know, she started that company. You're wearing one of those T-shirts, too, just to protect women. And it goes back to what Sophie said. She said, there's a safe space and love for everybody. Everybody's welcome at my table. Sophie, the basketball player, says this. But she said, I want to support women.
The story became even more serious when reports began identifying the woman involved in the alleged confrontation. According to those reports, the person was Seattle Storm minority owner Celeste Keaton. That changed the situation dramatically because this was no longer simply an argument between ordinary spectators. The allegations involved an executive connected directly to a professional WNBA organization. Reports also claimed that the teenage fans received negative reactions from people around them during the game. The league was suddenly facing questions about fan treatment, team leadership, and the atmosphere inside its arenas. With the controversy spreading rapidly, pressure mounted on the WNBA to respond.
Walking up to two 16-year-old girls holding a thank you, Sophie, for speaking up for girls sign and calling them effing insane. One was in tears by halftime. The girls were backing Fever guard Sophie Cunningham, who said she wants biologically men kept out of women's sports. The Storm apologized once in with public. Cunningham is not sending the two girls gifts. She called Keaton's meltdown truly embarrassing. So Sophie Cunningham is sending the two girls some gifts, man. So I'm guessing Sophie talked about this. I wonder how they find out Sophie sending them girls something. So the owner has been suspended for 5 games. I just feel like 5 games is just not enough. It's just not enough, bro. She should be banned. These was kids. This is like a hate crime in a sense. She verbally abused someone else's children. This is very bad, guys. Like 5 games is not enough. Then y'all didn't release the type of fine. This is why we cannot take this league serious, because they do things like this that make us not want to watch it, bro. Not want to watch it at all. Now, Tuesday Fever game, one of the 16-year-old girls stayed up the night before making the sign, then spent halftime crying courtside. A couple of Storm players gave the girls a thumbs down to their face. A man told them to take out the trash on their way out. The team's apology: everyone who attends a Storm game deserves to feel welcome. Now, Sophie Cunningham, like I stated, did state, well, this has been reported that she's going to send them something, but there is video that has been released of a fan telling these young ladies they are trash. This is a bad look. And this ain't just no rinky-dink person. This is a corporate guy connected to Nordstrom's. Let's watch it.
The WNBA eventually announced disciplinary action against Celeste Keaton following the controversy. Reports stated that she received a significant fine and a 5-game suspension from attending Storm home games. The decision immediately placed even more attention on the Seattle organization and its leadership. Majority owner Jenny Gilder publicly apologized and emphasized that fans should feel welcome at Storm games. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever attempted to distance itself from the surrounding political controversy. The Fever and head coach Stephanie White reportedly declined to comment about the demonstration involving Cunningham supporters on the court. Indiana focused on basketball and came away with a 105-95 victory over Seattle.
Coming out with a positive, saying, you know what, finally someone has said something, and I don't really look at either side of those, because I know whatever I say, I'm going to get hate and I'm going to get love. And if I'm going to live by the love, I'm going to die by the hate. And that's just not who I am. I beat to my own drum. And so people are always going to have something to say. You could win the championship. You could be the best at whatever it is. And there's still people who are going to hate on you. And so that's just what this world is. So I'm confident in who I am. I'm proud of who I am. I'm happy being me. And I'm going to continue to be that.
You always had kind of that mentality when it comes to, you know, people saying things, or is that something you've built and learned to adapt over time?
You know, I think I've always kind of been able to, you know, handle that type of pressure, I would say, and the type of eyes and the type of people who have comments. And like I said, there's, you know, going to be some negative comments, but there's also a whole bunch of positive comments too that no one really ever, you know, people hate positivity for some reason. I have no idea why, but there's a lot of positive comments too when it comes to that. And so, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, we're all human. We're no one's perfect here. And so I really don't care what other people have to say. I know who I am. My people know who I am. And hopefully I'm doing them proud and, you know, making room for young boys and girls in our world to have a better future than we did. I think people are going to take it how they want to take it, but I've never even really said anything about that. And so when it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that. I think that's why you have Title IX. That's why you have some of the greats in women's sports. If Title IX and women's sports weren't protected, then you wouldn't hear about any type of women in sport. And so I think in the future, it's just really important to protect.
Do you think, I guess along the line like that, it goes against perhaps, some people might say, hey, for the trans community, this could be something that could come back on us or be targeted against us. Like, how do you, I guess, view that sort of critique?
You know, like I said, I extend love, and I don't dislike anyone. Like, I think there is room for absolutely everyone here, and I think there's room to love everyone. And I truly think when you get people in the same room and you have conversations, you actually have a lot in common with a lot of people. And so I'm there to love, but I'm also there to love biological women, and I think that there are rights that need to be protected. And like I said, I'm going to stand true to that.
This controversy has created a situation unlike anything most WNBA fans have seen before. A disagreement over a highly sensitive political issue has now reached the level of team ownership and league discipline. The league's decision to suspend an owner shows just how seriously officials are treating the allegations. But many fans are still asking whether 5 games is enough punishment for an alleged confrontation involving teenage spectators. Others continue debating whether Sophie Cunningham was right to use her platform to express her views publicly. Whatever side people take, the controversy has clearly created a much larger conversation about fans, players, and free expression. Let us know your opinion in the comments and subscribe for more updates as this story develops.